Welcome to the Dental Elements Podcast, the podcast for the dental profession, where we talk about innovation, collaboration, and inspiration, and a little instigation now and then. Today on the show, our guest is Dr. Jack Bayramyan, and he immigrated to the United States from Armenia at the age of 12. He didn't even speak English when he arrived, but his love for accelerated learning motivated and influenced him to speak English fluently within a year's time. Wow. He went to dental school at the University of Southern California. And while in dental school, he had the opportunity to visit Mexico on a mission trip with his class. That mission became the catalyst for his driving force of his career to focus on children's dentistry and alleviating children's pain and self-consciousness. He would eventually bring smiles to close to 1 million children throughout the United States. Wow. In 2004, he opened his first practice, a kids' dental place. And between 2004 and 2012, he grew his company to 8 practices throughout California and Arizona. And by 2013, he began scaling back and restructuring to focus on developing self-managing business operating systems with specific attention to supporting the individual needs of his employees. The systems Dr. Jack developed based on his team building principles grew his organization to 20 million in revenue in less than 5 years. See, teams do matter. With the creation of optimized practice services, in 2020, Jack is following his passion for team building by empowering other clinicians to transform into business leaders, helping them systemize, scale, and increase the valuation of their practices. He also outlines the strategies and principles he uses in his new book, Extraction. So Dr. Jack is here with us today to talk about optimized practice services, his book, Extraction, but mostly about how he can help you, or maybe you know somebody that could use some help. And we'll learn a little bit more about Jack. So welcome to the show, Jack. Yes, I was just reading your bio, and it sounds like you have a lot of great accomplishments coming to the United States without even knowing English and learning so fast in a year. I couldn't imagine. So you must be a really fast learner, good learner, motivated.
Out of necessity, I think we get to do what we must do, right? I was born in Soviet Armenia, and back then it was all, think of being on the other side of the Iron Curtain. So there was just a lot of scarcity and propaganda. And when we immigrated at 12, there was a bunch of opportunity, but yet, you're still in poverty and you have no access to most of the opportunities that you see around you. And, growth was out of necessity. Honestly, it was just looking at what I wanted, looking at what was not capable. And I figured early on that education was my only path through and out of poverty. And that's how I actually eventually made it to dental school and through dental school.
That's great. So you came here at 12, and that's a hard age anyway. That's like one of the worst ages, like the hardest age. I think maybe 9 to 12 for boys, but oh my gosh. So you had this blessing, you were brought here, and so you wanted to do really good with it, right?
It really is, considering all the friends that I grew up with and the limitations that we had back in Armenia. And here's this abundance of opportunity. And, now there's no excuses, right? You got to take responsibility, and either you do something with it or you don't. And I think I'm blessed with a massive desire for growth and curiosity. And I think that's pretty much what's carried me through up until now as well.
Just like, geez, I don't even know where to start. So you had a passion to help children.
Dental school for me was, number one, it was tough. But, me getting into dental school it was not a passion for dentistry that got me through. It was just more like building a career, building financial security and a path forward. And I loved biology. I loved sciences. So I figured it's the shortest path without doing residency and no responsibility past, your time to go home.
Chances of getting your money back after paying for it, right?
Absolutely.
That's kind of like hygiene school.
And then when I was there, the first year of dental school, there was a mission trip that was organized by the school. And I got to participate and went to Mexico. And just working in a church with children that have never seen dentistry before, that have never had dentistry done before, and being able to transform their lives in a way that it's just beyond just a career had a profound impact, and I really shaped the way I viewed the career. It went from more of a career to now a sense of purpose and opportunity to really serve beyond myself through the choice that I've made as a part of healing services. And I became the pull that actually ultimately pulled me through multiple other mission trips throughout dental school. And when I graduated, I naturally gravitated to working at a community clinic here in Southern California. And that became my defining moment of working with children, underserved children, giving them a better opportunity of life. And part of it, I think, resonates with me coming to this country and having very limited opportunities and having my own teeth restored first time ever under Medicaid practice. So I know the challenges, the limitations, the belief systems that come with, not just for the kids, but also for the parents. And I think there was a lot of compassion and care that went into the choices that I made working with children, underserved communities.
That was, yeah. Before I went to hygiene school, we would do volunteer days. Even though I worked up front, I was like, I want to do the x-rays. I just loved helping the children. And then as a hygienist, one of my biggest fears actually was talking to the children, and then they turned out to be my favorite, especially teenagers. I mean, the kids were fun, but teenagers, because you could really, like, one word, you could change their whole life. And so I just asked them what their plans were. And sometimes they didn't sound like they didn't have a choice, or they didn't know they had an options. And so I was like, oh my gosh, if I could just take this half hour, whatever I have with them, and even if I don't get their teeth cleaned, if I could change their direction or let them know, it's like, I love that.
They're impressionable, and it's such a beautiful opportunity, if it's not missed, to really have an impact, more than just a professional, but an impact on the direction of their lives, and making sure that, sometimes in the communities that we work, it just doesn't seem like anybody cares. And then when you're, sitting in a dental chair and the person that you respect and they're a professional, and they show you that you could also do this, you could also build the life that you want, it resonates differently. And for, many times, just talking to those teenagers and showing them that, I too was sitting in your, where you are right now. And if you decide that you want to be anything, you can be. And I hope I serve an example for that. It's a beautiful thing to have, the transformation.
Especially a big, scary dentist, because as kids, it's like, oh my gosh, a doctor, a dentist. So I probably totally looked up to you. And then to have you tell them that you're a human being and, get to their level and their age, it's like wonderful to show them that they have opportunities as well. So thank you for helping with the children.
Of course.
So then let's say you did your practice with the children, and then tell me about your team building principles and your organization, because I'm all about team building. And
yeah, I don't know if there's any other way, right?
I know you could try, but it's not going to be fun.
Right. Part of that, I think I bought my first practice 6 months out of dental school. So I was so committed to building something that allowed me the maximum flexibility and freedom to serve the way I wanted to serve and treat the way I wanted to treat, all aspects, the environment as well as the experience that we provided besides just dentistry. And 3 months into my practice, my office manager abruptly quit, and with it left everything. I mean, I didn't know how to bill. I didn't know how to schedule patients. I didn't know how to run the practice management system. And I had to learn fast. The practice was growing. We were seeing a lot more new patients every single day, but the cash flow was diminishing. And I would literally practice during the day and transform the operations, learn the billing, read the Dentrix manuals. And we ultimately digitized the practice, understood the reporting. But I had the systems down, but most importantly, it's the teamwork was something that was either you make it or you break it, right? And it's easy when you're in one practice, you could lead by example because everybody follows your lead. You're in the same room. It's easy to train. But when, we scaled beyond one practice, I opened a second location. That's where leadership and team building became essential.
So in hindsight, would you say that was a blessing to have that happen?
It allowed me the greatest growth opportunity. I made a lot of mistakes early on, but that the structure, the systems, and the monitoring of the health of the practice, getting a sense of a practice pulse and understanding what that really means at every given day, and understanding which behaviors we could work on to make improvements, became the foundational principles that allowed us to scale and grow and expand. But teamwork is critical. So the biggest mistake, systems could be fixed, they could be updated. We have technology, we could integrate people, alignment, and building great teamwork that is aligned with your values, aligned with your vision. There's connection and understanding of how we want to serve and how we want to treat as one with one voice. That was the biggest mistake I've made. It was part of my growth when we expanded to multiple practices. I had taken on a couple of my associates as partners to just make sure that the vision is executed. They're competent, they're capable. But I don't think we're aligned on our philosophy, the way I wanted to treat the patient. So I was running around between practice to other practice, between two states, and what it just felt extremely difficult to make sure that everybody was aligned on the way we wanted to practice dentistry. And that was the biggest mistake. And the biggest mistake was not setting clear expectations, not building teams around common values and expressing the vision that we wanted to build together. And I had to reset. And that was the biggest reset. Is I took a break. I said, I can't continue growing this way. Something's got to give. Something's got to change. And really, within 6 months, I got rid of 4 partnership relationships. I sold some of my practices.
How many practices did you have at this point?
I had 7 practices in
Okay.
California and in Arizona. And then I decided to scale back to 4 practices, sold all the practices in Arizona, bought my partnership shares from one of my other partners, and completely reset. And, you're building a practice. I never thought the importance of team building and alignment was going to be a make it or break it.
Yeah.
And you could be successful, but completely miserable because the relationships are not right. And that's where I found myself.
And if you're building on that, like you're saying, that foundation, another good learning lesson, blessing, right? Kind of is it's just going to crumble. Like you can't build without stopping and restructuring. It
crumbles, and you're the only one that is capable of holding the pieces together. And at some point, it takes a toll on you internally. Just your stress level. I remember I was at one of the events and for sedation, pediatric sedation, and we're running the monitors, and my blood pressure was like 160 over 120. I'm like, what's going on? And they ran it again. They're like, the machine must be broken. They run it again. It's like 120 over 160 over 120. I'm like, that was one of the things that are like, wait a minute, I'm literally killing myself trying to hold all the pieces together. From the outside, we're successful financially. We're growing. We have multiple practices. We're doing well. But on the inside, I was crumbling, and my health was, the health of my own internal pulse was a reflection of that. That's what really triggered that this is not worth it. I got to do something different. It's not, it's not sustainable internally. And
it's not worth your
blessing
health.
of my life, the ability to set back and really build a foundational team and leadership team around me, and who are aligned, who understand, and we could continue to grow together, invest in our own growth and expansion. It was just a foundational piece that allowed us to really scale after that.
So how did you do that? Or did you hire people and then you train them? Because you can't really train people to have the same beliefs, but I guess you could train them.
We elevated everybody up from the organization. We have dental assistants or receptionists who are fully committed to serving the way we wanted to serve. They could connect with our mission. They had love and compassion for the patients that we were serving. Those are the qualities that I was looking for, the loyalty, the dependability, and then we trained up for the capabilities. So we invested a lot in developing leaders from within our organization, from dental assisting roles, from receptionist roles, from billing roles, and built our own internal DSO infrastructure and extracted all these roles out of the practices and to a management and leadership role. And that was the greatest blessing for me. It's, investing in people's potential and then seeing that come to life, and having kids that grew up in communities that barely had high school education, now leading organizations of over 200 employees, seeing us through growth and, in different areas, from marketing to finance to billing to training. It was a phenomenal experience.
I love that. So you're able to use your passion for helping children, because they're probably still like your children, even though they're more mature than them, and you got to raise them up. And that's like, what better feeling is there than that?
Very well said.
See them succeed, and you succeed as a result, but in more ways than one.
And that's literally the legacy for me. I think it's the people that we've touched and the opportunities that were presented and how they stepped up, and it's like watching your own children, right? You want them to really actualize their potential. And if you could just coach them and be there and hold that space and allow the opportunity and support for them to realize their goals, that's the most beautiful gift and the most beautiful reward that you could achieve.
And then they're happy because then it's like it's their baby too. It's like their project, their business. They really have buy-in and they get rewarded for doing good. And
yes,
they don't feel like it's just clocking in, clocking out. So
you give them a sense of purpose besides a paycheck. It has to be. I mean, without a sense of purpose, without sense of meaning and bigger than themselves, right? Teamwork is a sense of purpose. Coming to work and having fun and overcoming challenges, but then getting the gratitude and the rewards from the patients because it was difficult, but it was worth it. And that becomes the culture that really could withstand everything.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want it to be easy, but you want to look forward to going to work and have challenges, be rewarded for them too, for hard work. Yeah. And so then so how many practices did you have then? Do you still have 4 at this point, or did you end up getting more or growing more?
So we had 4, and then we really formed kind of I didn't even know what a DSO was back then. It was just, I knew what we needed from the experiences of what I didn't have. I needed to have a really, not only we had great systems and processes, but having the teamwork and the leadership around you that could sustain that and lead that, where it's not just me anymore. I work directly with our leadership team, and my job is to serve them and guide them. And then their job is to serve and guide everybody at the practice level. So we took everything that was not essential, not clinically essential into practice, and we centralized it at our headquarters, including our leadership team. And that one decision to really be supported by a leadership team allowed us to go from literally 4 practices to 8 practices, expand to teens and orthodontics in 5 years. I mean, we went from $5 million to $20 million in revenue in a 5-year period with what I had achieved in 12 years prior. So, and the most important thing is I think, uniquely in my unique ability role, what I was doing, what I loved to do, supporting, helping, and guiding, and training, and leading, and learning, and supporting our leadership team. And my impact became amplified through them.
So they were doing the same thing, hopefully, to the people, but not below them or in different positions. So
different positions.
So they were sharing because that's how they were trained. That's what they know. And so then it just keeps going from there. And I love it. And so you had a DSO before you even knew what a DSO was.
I had no idea what a DSO was. I was just building what I needed, and based on all the pain points that I had previously.
So it's more like a JBO, no, Dr. Jack organization. Yeah, that's fantastic. So, and then you wrote a book called Extraction. Is that what that's about?
Yes.
So can you explain that, or what extraction means, or how you got that name and what your book is about?
Yeah, no, extraction is really based on a lot of my experiences of growth and transformation and the wins and the losses. And I would say it's, the essence of extraction is like, be willing to extract yourself from anything that's not excellent in your life. It's a growth mindset as well as a process that helps you go from, where you want to go, from where you are right now, and consciously keep extracting yourself from everything that's not working to avoid stagnation, to avoid this comparison of status, and always be growing. It's the mindset as well as the process. It came out of, I would say, right in the middle of COVID, when we hit the pandemic, and just running around juggling between the offices and practices and regulations and all the guidelines. And I really sensed the lack of leadership and in multiple different roles, leadership, and not only in government, but in our dental organizations, at a dental board organization, the confusion and everything. And it's like, these are the people that are supposed to lead us through this, and nobody could make a decision, nobody could guide us. And that came what we did and how we were able to really transform and get our practices up and running and get our teams back together again and hold everybody together became the foundational, I guess, purpose behind writing the book. Is like, if I could just transfer everything that I've learned and everything that we've done into not only the mindset, but also the principles, where anybody could just read it, apply it, and understand where they are, understand where they really would love to be, and then follow a process for that path to succeed. Okay.
And then, so how do we get that book? Is it like a book that you buy, like a hard copy book, or is it an ebook?
Yeah, it's on Amazon. We have hardcover, we also have Kindle, and we have an Audible version.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to check that out for sure. I'm all about growth and learning. Like passion in my, that's
Extractionbook.com.
my,
We have a small website on there too. You can have access to the book.
what's the website called?
Extractionbook.com.
Extraction book. Okay. Yeah, that's fantastic. And to share, to see so many people, like you're saying, during the pandemic, I couldn't imagine having that many offices and that big of a team, that much responsibility, and things are going great. And then realizing that there is nobody to look up to. I mean, there's nobody to there. It's you. Now you're an adult, and it's like you are the person. So like now it's time to step up, right? And be the leader. Like, yeah.
Take responsibility, and ultimately it's, what leadership is all about is the ability to take, full responsibility for everything that you need to do, and not blame, and not
Yes.
not make any excuses. Just take leadership and responsibility, and allow your teams to take responsibility of what we can control, and take the
Stay
next
calm
small
and
step,
yeah, take the
next
best out of it
step,
that you can. Yes.
and
Not
things
panic
just
and run around.
unfold from there. You can't get paralyzed by the confusion and uncertainty. You got to just get really clear, focused, and take the next step forward into your growth.
Yeah, and I think having that, besides moving here when you were 12, but having your office manager leave you high and dry, and then having to break up with some partners, that prepared you for this. Then who knows what else. And so those hard times are. So if you have hard times, it's like, yes, this is good.
Bring it
Something
on.
good's going to happen. Yes, learn
Bring it
from it.
on.
They're learning.
Bring
Yes,
it's a blessing. It's without that, without the growing pains, without the discomfort, there is no growth. So we always in a moment make a decision: are we stepping forward into growth, or we're stepping back into safety? And when things get challenging, that's what we, if we want to grow, we got to lean in, and that's how we prepare ourselves for bigger and better opportunities in the future.
yeah. Not that we want bad things, but you just got,
it's
but don't happen. Yeah. If you don't fall down, you're not going to learn how to walk. Right. So what are you doing now? So you wrote this book, and are you still practicing dentistry, or do you still have
I'm not. Actually, we in 2019 we actually merged our practices with a large DSO, and I'm more advisory right now. But what I really wanted to do, and part of the reason that we merged, was to give me the sense of freedom to start my own consulting and partnership organization to help practice owners and doctors and their teams to really truly optimize their potential. I call it, we inspire potential, looking at the greatest opportunities for every practice, and providing the clarity and confidence and capabilities for them to truly step in and actualize the true potential for their practice.
Or do you work with leaderships or doctors, or who do you mainly
It all
work
depends.
with?
So our level, we work with the doctor and their leadership team to, fundamentally to truly, and the same principles of the book Extraction that we apply throughout Optimize, but it's more one-on-one basis, and we get to work with the doctors to apply the principles. And phase one, no matter what, it's all about their vision. So we want to make sure that we could clarify their vision. If we get to understand what they want, then we could always build the strategy and the project plan, and provide the capabilities and resources to help them execute. But most, step one, it's all about them, and it's about their vision. So getting that very clear is fundamental to everything that we do at Optimize.
Okay. And then you kind of share with them what you've learned and what systems have worked for you, and then decide what will work for them. Not necessarily the same systems, but like you said, what their goals are, who they are. And okay. Yeah. I love doing that too. And then pointing out some things that they might not know, like going into, when I consult practices going in, they don't know what they don't know, or they don't even know what the real issue is. Right. And so just going in there, listening and watching and observing, you can really tell or diagnose what really going on, and then and then relaying that to them and letting them see that in a different way. And
it's so beautiful, as you said. I realize that a lot of the breakthroughs happen by just allowing to have a conversation with their leadership team, and an open and honest and vulnerable conversation. And most of the time, the solutions come just right out of their own conversations. You just have to facilitate and just allow for that to happen. It's so beautiful seeing these aha moments, and having them like step out of the practice and start working on the practice, and clearly see the opportunities that they have if they put it into execution and start applying make some minor tweaks and changes, or hire the right person. Sometimes that one key individual can make all the difference. But you have to step out and see it. And as a consultant, it's very rewarding and super exciting to see those transformations happen.
And to help them, because they're like, there's a reason they hire people, because they want help or they want to do better, and to help them be happy and for their blood pressure not to be 164 over 40, 140. And so to help them and show them that there's good ways.
Awesome.
Sounds like you're doing amazing things. And so what makes your company different than like a DSO though? Is it the same kind of thing as a DSO, or is it more consulting and
so it's consulting and also a partnership, dental partnership organization. So we consult, it all depends on what the doctor wants and what the doctor needs, right? So if they want to accelerate their growth and scale beyond one practice, we could do that through consulting. If they want to transition and exit, we could offer the partnership model where we actually could step in and invest alongside and help grow and transition that practice. If they want to just get together with a bunch of friends and form their own DSO and transition and exit, we could help them do that through. So it all depends on whatever the needs and whatever the vision for the doctor is. I believe we have a solution that fits anything that they want. But the most important thing is they have to know what they want. As long as we know what they want and we can get that clarity, then we can provide the services and support that. If they know what they want, we can actually guide them through that process.
And if they're thinking about retiring or selling, it's kind of like a good sitcom. You want to go out at the top, right? So you want to keep them good and energetic and full and not wind down. And
you want to transition on an upswing. It's never fun to transition where there's stagnation or the practice is in decline. Nobody wins. You get the least out of the practice. There's no energy. The teams are not really excited. So if we could keep them engaged, no matter what their goals are, no matter how they want to transition, keep them engaged and really take advantage of the unrealized potential for the practice and guide them through the alternative exit, whatever they want. I mean, they could exit fully, they could exit, they could partner and exit, transition slowly. They could take a few days off from practicing and be a passive investor in the practice and continue earning. It all depends on what fits their lifestyle goals in the future. All these opportunities are possible, where before it was just, you build a practice, you potentially maybe find an associate and you exit your practice to an associate and you're done. It doesn't have to be that way. I think the practice has a way more potential of serving past a certain age and past a certain goal that were never a reality before for us.
Well, thank you. Anything else you want to share with us?
I'm just really grateful to be here. I love the opportunity to have this conversation and connect and expand and offer guidance and support in any way that we can. I think just the big takeaways for me as a message to anybody that's listening is be very clear. Find clarity of what you really want. Begin with an exit in mind, meaning begin with an end in mind. Always know what that exit looks like, even if you're not ready to exit. Have an understanding, because you could build towards that. And if you can get coaching, there's a lot of power and clarity that could come from coaching. See the blind spots, take advantage of opportunities, be challenged, hold us accountable, so we can really step up and become our fullest potential that we can. That's kind of the essence of what I would like to transition and share. And I really appreciate the time.
Well, I love hearing your story. I could talk to you for forever. I love what you're doing. You sound like you're doing good things and helping everybody. So I'm glad that we're able to share your message. So in your website, what's your website? Is it under the extraction as well? Or is that it's under your company's name, right? Optimized Practice Services.
Yeah. Okay. OptimizePS.com.
ps.com. Okay, great. And we'll put that in the show notes, and then also on the website rootyouon.com. So it's easy to find your bio and then connect with you. And I like to follow up and see where you are and later too, and help support you. I love what you're doing.
I really appreciate it, and the opportunity to connect.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the show. You can listen here on YouTube with the video. Sometimes there's just our faces talking to each other, and sometimes there might be little surprises. Also, wherever you listen to your podcasts, we are there as well. And the website, rootyouon.com, where you can find all of the episodes as well as all of the guests and bios. So check it out. Thanks for listening or watching.